Okay, let's talk some money. Dig deep into the wallet. Let's welcome into MidPoint for our daily segment, the Money Master, Newsmax Director of Financial Newsletters. Jeff Yastine joins us. And the first thing, Jeff, is always the market. How are we doing today?
The Dow's up about 20 points, and the S&P and the NASDAQ composite have been drifting around break-even levels pretty much the whole day here.
Have we seen anything this week? Because here we are, midpoint of the week. Any kind of trends, anything developing? Because we've had a pretty good week thus far on Wall Street.
Yeah, clearly, and I think one thing that everybody's pointing to is the decline in energy prices. Oil prices are down to, I think, $95, $94 a barrel right now. We have low interest rates, the 10-year Treasury note, and its yield, as bond prices move higher, the yield on a bond moves lower, and those bond rates yields have been quite low. So, you know, that's like a positive backdrop overall for this market in what's usually a fairly troubling month.
You brought up energy prices, and as I'm looking at the different gas stations from time to time, I have been watching. It was in the 50s, 350s, 340s, 330s, 320s in some area. Aren't we getting into the winter time now? The blend is going to change a little bit, and aren't the prices then due to change? And which way will they go now?
It's hard to say, and a lot of that is driven by the dynamics in the refinery business itself, because as you may or may not know, at some points of the year, refineries shift. They'll start going towards producing heating oil. At other points, they shift, earlier in the year, shift towards producing unleaded gasoline. So it just depends. There's only a limited number of refineries, and also some of them stop to do maintenance and those sorts of things. So it's just too hard to really say at this point.
In other words, don't be looking for that $3 gallon of gas anytime soon.
I don't think so. The gasoline's a whole other dynamic, and as the economy's improved somewhat here, people feel more confident in driving, et cetera. So, I don't know that consumption demands are certainly not going away, that's for sure.
Yeah, sorry, people, we can't help you with a Christmas present there. Saw the story, gold falling below $1,300. Is gold no longer this can't beat, can't lose, gotta be everything investment?
Well, as many people already, realize, we've been talking about this a lot ourselves, gold, it's been in something of a bear market for the last two and a half years. And, when we had the situations flare up in the last couple of months with ISIS and the Syria situation, Iraq having further problems, you would have expected that oil prices would have shot up. We got a little bit of a shoot up again some months ago, and since then it's just been declining and declining. So it shows you that the U.S., with the internal supply of fuel we have here with the fracking technologies and all that, are really ameliorating these tightening or heightening of tensions that we're seeing in other parts of the world.
All right, got about 10 seconds left. Anything coming up this week financially people need to look out for?
I think at this point it's just looking at Jackson Hole, all the Federal Reserve and central banking types of meeting there. Everybody's going to see what happens coming out of that.
Jeff Yastine, always a pleasure. Don't forget, get Warren Buffett's Next Door book by visiting FIR411.com. We'll see you tomorrow, Jeff. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Take care.
All right. In light of what is happening at the moment in Ferguson, Missouri, Alan Dershowitz focuses on this edition of You and the Law. It's fitting indeed, and it's something indeed that most people can probably learn from, when you can and cannot record interactions with law enforcement. It's You and the Law, Alan Dershowitz.
Have you ever been stopped by a policeman for a traffic violation? Of course you have. Millions of Americans are regularly stopped by the police for traffic violations and other reasons. Now here's the question. Is it legal for you to surreptitiously hit the record button on your smartphone and tape the conversation with the police? Well, it all depends on which state you were stopped. If you were in about a dozen states like Massachusetts, California, or Florida, don't go near your record button. In Massachusetts, the top court has ruled that recording a policeman is a crime unless you tell the cop you're doing it. Many states have privacy laws that make secret recording of anyone illegal. And in some states, you're free to record the policeman in the exercise of their duty, but not to record other ordinary citizens. Illinois passed a draconian law saying that if you tape a police officer on the job, you could face as much as 15 years in prison. An appellate court overturned the law, and the Supreme Court upheld that specific ruling, but it failed to rule on the issue as a whole. The Massachusetts case was particularly egregious because the cops were spouting racist talk to an African-American driver who recorded the conversation to protect himself. Instead of the cop being fired, the victim of the racist talk was prosecuted. Bad decision, but it's still the law in that state. In 38 states like New York and Virginia, it's legal to turn on the record button, but don't do it in general. I advise you not to, because if the policeman catches you, he might figure out some way of getting even. And don't forget that in almost all states, it's legal for the police to audio and videotape you. Many police, even on traffic stops, have microphones attached to their body and are recording your comments. In other places, the police have video on the hood of their car and they're recording your movements. So don't forget that fact and remember your state laws and act accordingly. I'm Alan Dershowitz for Newsmax TV.